Oh, for sure. It's Maple Sumo, eh?
It's day one of the Haru Basho 2026. Let's get into it with Maple Sumo. To start, we have one Kyuju announcement for this tournament. Midori Fuji is apparently out with what they're calling heart failure. Some places have reported it as actual a heart attack, a cardiac arrest. Other places say heart failure. We know he's been out of practice for a few weeks now, and now, according to his Oyakata, he's going to miss at least a month with treatment. We're trying to get better sources for what's actually wrong with him, but we don't have any full medical reports yet. We'll update you as we know. A quick update from our hero in Makushita Enho. He starts the tournament 1-0, defeating Hideno Umi, the older brother to Tobizaru, with his classic Shitatanage, an arm pull down. Looking good so far. We know he is fighting with a broken foot, so hopefully he can come out strong, get his wins early, guarantee himself promotion, and then rest. And now let's get through our Makuuchi results. So starting at the bottom, we have Ryuden coming up today to visit from Juryo to replace the missing Midori Fuji. He loses to Kotoeho with a pretty straightforward Yori to Oshi. He's forced out without much challenge at all, not looking like the strongman we've seen him in the past. Fuji Ryoga started out against Kin Bozan. Fuji Ryoga is so new, he doesn't even have his top knot in fully yet. He had a hard charging attack early, but could not finish in his Makuuchi debut. Kin Bozan rallies, forces him out. Mitaki Yumi is looking to regain some of his former Ozeki form and marched Asahakuryu out of the dohyo pretty quickly. Straightforward off the tachi, keeps him contained, finishes off in classic tadpole style. Nishiki Fuji got a quick win over Chiyo Shoma with a Yuri Kiri. He was in full control from the start, had good foot movement to keep him wrangled in, and just marched him out. Nishiki Fuji also involved in that violent scandal earlier this month with his stablemate there, Hakuno Fuji. He did testify he's unaffected by it and is still competing just normally. Hakuno Fuji is also competing as well, while their stable master, the former Terno Fuji, is under disciplinary action but can still coach them for now. Fuji Seun, the stablemate to Fuji Ryoga, made his debut and got a win over former Ozeki Asanoyama. Asanoyama did not look like his old self. He had the strength off the charge, but after one step back, he tried to pull on Fuji Seun and just executed it incredibly poorly. Barely had his hands on him. And as soon as he stepped back, Fuji moved in, kept on him, pushed him out, no problem. Coming after that, Asa Koryu did a textbook small man game against another small man, Tobizaru. I love Asa Koryu. He's just this little tank. It looks like he's going to transform into a Ninja Turtle at any time, but he got right in close and a little bit lower, got under the right armpit, and scooped him over with ease. So quick win there. Ukrainian Shishi has shown incredible growth over this last year. He got into a bit of a hairy situation against Oshoumi. He initially had control, wasn't able to finish. Oshoumi recovered, pushed him back to the edge. He was on 1 foot at one point and managed to get low and in sideways, turn it around, and then force Oshoumi back out. Great recovery. If this was him last year, he would not have been able to do that and win. He would have just, kind of given up after being initially rebuffed. So I'm glad to see that he's taking some lessons from his countrymate. Gonoyama did straightforward Gonoyama things. Closed the distance quickly and glued himself to Roga and just chased him around the edge of the ring until he quickly forced him out. This is classic Gonoyama style, straightforward, keep going forward. Our Iron Man Tamawashi was sort of overwhelmed by Toki Hayate. Tamawashi has not been able to put together 8 wins in a tournament since July of last year, where he got that special performance award. Ever since then, he's had 6 wins, 7 wins. Last tournament, I think he had 4 wins. So he's, I think, starting to show a little bit of the age, and some of the ring rust is starting to accumulate on him. So we'll see how he does over this tournament. He may fall further down and be looking at a Juryo demotion by the summer. Our man Ura got a quick, straightforward win over Chaos Lord Shodai. It was the most textbook straightforward sumo. get low, get in, stay under him, and pushed him right backwards. Shodai looked helpless out there. So Hakuno Fuji, that we mentioned earlier, had an early strength against Shodai. He seemed to be in complete control, but at the edge of the ring, I don't know if he went for some sort of last second, shove or lost his footing or something when trying to give that final force out, but he appears to have re-aggravated his left toe injury. This was the only match in the top division that actually went to a mono-e today, just to confirm, but Hakuno Fuji did touch the ground before Oshoma went out, and he was very obviously favoring that foot, grabbed it right as he went down, was barely able to get back onto it. So he was hobbling on his way out. He may have broken it or something. We're not sure what's going on right now. Speaking of things that look damaged and or broken, Onokatsu's left knee appeared to collapse right after the Tachiai against Ichi Yamamoto. They came together, they struggled for a second, and then it buckled inward. He had a hard time getting up and needed assistance leaving the dojo. He was hobbling hard. I haven't seen anything about a Kyujo announcement for him, but I would expect he's going to be pretty heavily taped up tomorrow. Koto Shoho looked like the guy who actually won a tournament last year against Abi. Abi was not able to get his classic throat-grabbing Abi-Zumo off to a start. Koto Shoho crushed right in, stayed close, forced him out immediately. Simple win. That's what you need to put together, is just solid, consistent sumo. Speaking of solid, consistent sumo, Daisho and Takanosho just went into a classic pushing, thrusting match. Back and forth quite a bit before Takanosho finally able to put together enough strength to force him backwards and come up with the win on that one. But this was really just two unstoppable forces, just bang, 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 until finally one of them crumbled. So Hirado Umi, speaking of crumbling, picked up a pretty easy win over Oho. Oho is now, if you count matches from the last tournament, on a 7 straight losing streak. I don't know if he's got the yips or nerves or what, but the guy is not looking like the guy who was contending to be, a possible Sekiwake last year. Something's up. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know if it's mental, but this guy is just a pushover right now. And 7 in a row across the last 7 matches, when you put that time between them, he should have been able to mentally get things together. So I'm not sure what's wrong, but we'll see if he can get his wits about him in the next couple of days here. So our big man, Papa Bear Takayasu, went into an absolute war against Toronto Umi. Immediately goes in, gets a belt grip with his right on the inside, on the outside rather, but he really only got like one layer of that belt. So he immediately tried for an Uwatanage, and it was rebuffed with some great defense from Toronto Umi, who managed to sort of reset things, get them back to the center of the ring. And then they spent about 90 seconds struggling back and forth for position. Takayasu was not able to improve the grip that he had. It was too high up, and he couldn't really readjust and get better without giving up a significant amount of positioning there. So he just sort of waited them out. And then finally, Toronto Umi, after making a couple of attempts, it looks like he took a step back to maybe try a different kind of tug, and immediately Takayasu drops him with this lightning fast Uwatadashinage, just throws him on his teeth. Good look from Papa Bear. We call it cursed when Hiro Morita says that he thinks Takayasu is going to win it, but who knows? Hope springs eternal for this guy. We really want to see him get one, even if it means that Aonishiki has to wait a little while for his Yokozuna rope. But good work from Takayasu, showing his veteran skill and patience to wait him out for that perfect timing. Speaking of veterans, Kirishima looked beautiful against Fujinokawa. He wrangles him to the rope and then executes this textbook Uwatanage, just not a single point of contact with the dohyo, just leaves him in the crowd. If he can stay healthy, is looking solid for Ozeki, and who knows from there. The biggest thing with this guy is staying out of injury trouble. And then when he does, he, I think, is one of the top 3 in the division, no problem. Speaking of the top of the division, Kotozakura took some early control against Yoshino Fuji, who did manage to ward him off at the edge, and then attempted to counter with a second charge, but just showing that experience and that quick thinking the Ozeki was able to make a quick couple steps back and pull him down with relative ease. We make jokes that Kotozakura's body is a machine that turns 5 and 3 into 8 and 7, but if he can keep doing moves like this, then this guy has a real chance of contending for the cup. Speaking of contending for the cup, Ao Nishiki is looking so focused and so confident out there. He was up against Wakamoto Haru today, who, I don't know what it is about the Onami brothers, but they seem a little bit obsessed with trying some wonky-looking henkas these days. Wakamoto Haru didn't do like a full-on henka, but he did try a sidestep immediately, but that was completely nullified by Ao Nishiki's classic trademark low stance. He was able to just immediately recover. He wasn't jumpy off the line, so he wasn't like overbalanced. He came forward like he normally does, stayed low and strong, immediately pivoted, grabbed Wakamoto Haru and marched him out. It was a good look for him to start this tournament, and hopefully we see him, if not get the rope, at least contending for the Yusho. Wakataka Kage, unlike his brothers, stayed low against Onosato, and it really does look like Onosato is still struggling with that injured left shoulder. They got in close, and it looked like the angle that Wakataka Kage was at was just putting a lot of pressure on Onosato's shoulder. He forced him back out, and you could immediately see a noticeable wince on Onosato's face. I know the JSA likes to push their Japanese Yokozuna hard, and in the face of a potential Caucasian Yokozuna, they think they want him to put up a solid contention for the title, but it really does seem like he needs to take time off to rest. They did not let Kiseno Sato do that, and it cost him his career. I don't want to see this young Yokozuna with a long career ahead of him get himself into injury trouble that'll last forever. And finally, for the last match of the day, it is our Hoshoryu Yokozuna facing off against the larger Atami Fuji. You'll remember from last tournament, Atami Fuji was contending for the cup. But Hoshoryu, despite his slightly smaller stature, has just absolute S-tier balance. He got in against Atami Fuji. He had a couple of botched throw attempts that you can see him recover from, and then managed to just use that combination of balance and good positioning to stay close and force out Atami Fuji at the end. Whatever his issue was with his legs last tournament, he seems to be fully recovered and in good form. I would love to see him, in my ideal world, I'd love to see him get his first Yusho as a Yokozuna, and in a playoff against Ao Nishiki, who earns himself the rope with it. But that's just pie in the sky. Anyways, we'll be back tomorrow with updates from the Makuuchi and our boy Enho, and we'll hope to see you then.
This has been Maple Sumo, a no-plot, only lore production.